You're listening to Kayak Flyer with your host, Sean. This week we're brought to you by Tennessee Trailers, OutdoorAdventureTrailers.com, the best way to get your kayak to and from the water. Cutthroat Furled Leaders, the only leaders that I use. Cutthroat Furled Leaders are guaranteed to perform for whatever species of fish you're chasing. Check them out at cutthroatfurledleaders.com. Save 15% promo kayak. Stoneflynets.com, the very best in handcrafted and custom fishing nets made in the great state of Arkansas. Check out Stonefly Nets at stoneflynets.com. And we are back with the great state of Arkansas. You know what was so funny was Gretchen and Al Beatty, and I know you know them, told me I need to get more ladies on the show, so I just keep getting the same ladies on the show. And again, guys, it's the great Patty Lueken, Fly Fisher International Person of the Year. We are so blessed to have you on.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you know, it's an exciting time of year. And there's a lot of things going on. We record this a week in advance, so this will come out the second week of March. So you've got a couple of weeks to plan out your trip to the world famous Sowbug Roundup.
I thought you were going to say the White River, and I wasn't going to let you go there. But
I wasn't going to say
about the world famous Sowbug.
World famous Sowbug, the Sowbug Roundup.
Yes, it's 20. Well, you know, I don't know how you count those 2 off years when we had all the COVID stuff, but anyway, yeah, we're 22 plus years of Sowbug, and it's world renowned.
Oh, it is. And you guys are going to have the best of the best there. I mean, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Rick from Oasis Benches is going to be there. Those 3 people alone are worth making an airplane ride down.
Absolutely. And we're going to have Gretchen Beatty. Yep. Peggy Brenner's going to be here. We got some fabulous women tires. We have got Ron Mayfield, Dutch Boffman, Mike George. You know, Mike George, the Mike George, is coming in from right around Kansas City. He ties some just absolutely gorgeous deer hair flies.
And I know I'm cleaning everything off my phone, and I'm bringing down a little tripod, and I'm going to try and talk to as many folks as I can to put on the YouTube channel. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great to meet everybody and meet a lot of people that I've talked to, meet them in person. Like you said, Gretchen, I love Gretchen. She's great, you know, and then, yeah, and we're going to have so much fun, and it's going to be such a great time. I'm hoping it's warm enough. I may even camp out while I'm down there.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I might camp out next to this really unknown and poorly stocked river.
Oh yeah. Would that be the Little Red?
Yeah. I'm going to camp out. That way I can fish a little bit and hang out at the conference a little bit. I'm thinking taking off on Friday. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think I'm going to take off on Friday. I think I'm going to leave work a little early, maybe an hour early, and drive down and get some fishing in while my Arkansas permit's still good, and then just enjoy the entire weekend.
Yes, it's March 24th through the 26th. And you can camp at my place if you want.
I may have to do that.
Yeah, because I don't know what the campgrounds are looking like, you know, and they've not opened all of them back up. But you're surely welcome to do that. And Thursday night, I told you we've got dinner here, and we're going to have a bunch of really famous
Thursday
tires
night.
here.
Yeah, I'll be there Thursday night. Then I'll take off Thursday at noon.
Okay, great. That'll
give me just enough time to get there.
Well, you know, it's a mandatory event, so you have to come.
That I do.
It's for all the famous people.
You know, I tell you what, my little podcast is humble to be called famous by you.
Oh, no. You know, it's really wonderful that you do this and that you offer to folks a way for them to learn more about fly fishing. I think it's great.
Yeah, you know, and there have been a lot more fly fishing podcasts that have come out lately. And they dump a lot of money into advertising and things. And I really hope that people share this podcast because I know a lot of my guests will share it, and we get huge downloads, and it's great. And I know so I introduced you to Adam from Muskie Town. He said to tell you
Yeah.
hi.
And you know what? He and his daughter were on last night. We did a Zoom for Women Connect.
Oh, great.
And his daughter was on, and they tied a fabulous looking topwater popper. And matter of fact, I'm going to make some just like it. I was like asking me, the different colors and all, because it just was beautiful.
Yeah, and he's a super great guy. I know he and I were talking Saturday night. My days get confused. And anyway, I had sent him some photos of some dubbing brushes that I had made, and sent him some musky flies. I've never fished a musky fly. I don't know if I did it right.
Well,
I
he's
guess
the
we'll
man
find
to
out.
talk to with Muskie Town in his name.
Yeah, he is. And so he wound up telling me he had some wire. So he sent me some wire. So I've got to drift from Nick Dooley real quick and buy some wire from him. But I'm sitting here wondering if I can, depending on how much I spend, I can get a hotel. Otherwise, I'll be at your house camping because
That's fine. I've got 5 acres here, so you can just camp, and it's right on the White River.
yeah. But I mean, really, when we talk about it, I mean, what can people expect when they come down there?
Well, we've actually got events starting on Wednesday night, and that is the Fly Tires dinner, and it'll be a burger barn, and I'll have brats and different things there. And it's for all the tires and their significant someone that comes with them. So we have over 100 fly tires, and these are from all over the country. And it will be a huge event. And they will be tying for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday afternoon, there's usually not as many people tying because things start winding down. But then we've got on Thursday and Friday and Saturday morning, we also have programming. And this year, we are featuring Dave and Emily Whitlock, which is going to be just super. And we're going to talk about something near and dear to your area. And we're going to talk more about smallmouth and warm water flies. We're going to do it. Yes, we're going to do a lot of warm water promotions because certainly that's where Dave Whitlock does most of his stuff now.
Yep.
But we'll have Friday night. We will have a banquet with a live auction, and they will be featured. Not in the auction, but they'll be there. That sounded kind of funny.
We're going to sell Dave off.
Yeah, we're going to sell Dave and Emily. He is going to have a painting that he's done. I've seen it. It's very nice. It's a smallmouth bass, and it's very, very pretty. So that will be there. There'll be a lot of other really nice things. We've got, I know, a bamboo rod. There's just some really good stuff because we've kind of been building up since we haven't had this, since 2019.
Yeah, and I know Rick is he has 2 spots, so he's going to spread all of his stuff out. So if you're thinking about a dubbing brush table and you haven't pulled the trigger on one and you're going to be at the Sowbug, come by and check that out. I think I'm
plan on buying one of his dubbing tables.
Man, I think I talked to him the other day. He and I talk like weekly. I don't know if you saw the post I put up of the big ass beer that glass that he bought me. And it's from Big Nose Kate's Saloon. And Big Nose Kate obviously is from St. Louis and was Doc Holliday's girlfriend. And so he found that and he sent it to me. He's like, because it's an Arizona, Missouri connection, which I thought was great. But he is a super guy. And I have a feeling I'm probably going to be tying some dubbing brushes for him. I think he'll put me to work.
Well, good. That'll keep you out of trouble. Maybe.
Maybe.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah,
we're going to have lots of booths. Probably, I think there's 30 something booths there. And so you can see lots of stuff. And obviously, the Oasis area will be huge.
Yep.
And it'll be a big draw, I think, because I've seen that dubbing table and I bid on one at a FFI auction, missed it. And I said, I'm going to get me one.
Well,
So
he's revamped them a little bit. He's got a new handle on, which is really cool. But you can see that at the Sowbug Roundup. One of the other things, I mean, there are going to be vendors there, but it's not something that you need to bring a little extra cash if you want to buy something, but you don't have to buy anything because everything's free once you get in the door. Correct?
that's true. I mean, and then we have raffles. They're going to raffle off. I know a kayak and some different
Mm-hmm.
items. There's going to be then little raffles that we have for a half a day, and those will be just tons of stuff. We
Yeah, I
also
know.
have a lot of hooks and different things that are really pretty inexpensive. Uh, we get a lot of lightning hooks and different things that
Mm-hmm.
whenever people donate stuff to us, sometimes that we can sell that.
Yeah. And I looked at that raffle, and honestly, I mean, the kayak's a big, because if I'm not mistaken, it's a nice Jackson kayak.
It's
Um,
very nice.
I don't remember which one it is, but I know it's one of the really nicer Jacksons, and that had a large number of raffle sales. But some of the others with the guided trips, I'm not a raffle guy because I'm not lucky, but I'm saying to myself, I want to make sure I get that raffle. I want to make sure I hit that raffle. And that's, for a guy who's not a raffle guy, that's big for me to say because there were so few, that you got to get your ticket early.
Yes,
And
you do.
you've got a great chance at winning. It's a lot better than the lottery.
Well, and we do it because we do 200 or 300, or we set a number, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not just unlimited like a lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. And I looked at some of those and I'm like, man, I can't believe they're only selling that many tickets.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm definitely doing that. And that's one of the things that I really want to do is I've only been on guided trips in saltwater. And, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think guided trips are something that a lot of guys like me wonder if it's worth it. I know there's a lot of guys that just come down and they only do guided trips. And sometimes I'm like, you're hiring a guide, you're trout fishing. But I think there's something to be said about getting a guide on some of those rivers that they're offering because they are so unique and so wonderful in the great state of Arkansas.
Well, if you want to catch big browns, it's helpful to have a guide at least to show you how the first couple of times. I know because I've fished here for, well, 40 something years. And I will tell you that when I get a guide, and I don't get one very often, but when I do, I tend to catch some bigger fish. Now, maybe it's because I don't have to worry with the boat. I don't have to worry with anything else. All I'm doing is fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, I will tell you that I really like my odds.
Yeah. And, that's exactly, I fish predominantly smallmouth most of the year because I have to go down to Spring River in Arkansas, which is a great fishery. I've almost entirely quit trout fishing in Missouri. I'm trying to do the blue ribbon slam that we have up here, but I'm not even worried about that because I can be at the Spring River faster and catch more fish.
Really?
And have a better day. And I love the Spring River. Actually, I can be at your place almost as fast as I can be at the closest trout park. It's only it's like 35
for you. We don't want anybody else.
No. I mean, like at your house for dinner.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not taking anybody.
Did you want?
I'll tell you. I'm not telling anybody else about the Little Red.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not telling anybody else about the Kings River.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
not
too far from here either.
Hey, they're going to pull a lot of trout out of there.
Trout out of the King? Absolutely.
I've been down here all day.
Water fishery has very special trout. They might be browner than normal.
Yeah, brown trout look like footballs down there.
Right.
But I mean, Arkansas is such a special place. And I mean, the outdoors, really the idea of the natural state for people that haven't been to Arkansas, you're really, really missing out for warm water fish, trout, I mean, you're really missing out. It's a great place to go. And you guys have all these great events there. I mean, you guys, one of the fly shops near your home has like a blues and tying event I've seen online. The F3, the fly fishing film tour down underneath the bridge in Cotter.
Which is really cool there in Cotter. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it, and that's a very special bridge. It's a very old bridge, but it was the first one of its type, some sort of engineering special something. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Yeah. And fishing where you can see that bridge is really neat. Flying, if you've got a drone like I do, you can fly up and take pictures of it. It's absolutely gorgeous. The valley is gorgeous. That whole area is just so wonderful. And then you can run up, and I don't know, I'm going to name this fly shop because they were really nice to me when I was in there, but I went to Copper John's Fly Shop.
Okay.
And they were super nice. I mean, Dolly's Fly Shop is great. Natural State Fly Shop is great. But I went up to look at the dam and everything. And I saw Copper John's and I went in, and I swear this place is about the same size as my first apartment. So it's about 75 square feet, and you couldn't put another thing.
A tiny house shop.
And you couldn't put another thing in there, but they have exactly what you need. There's no wasted space in that place. And I really love it. And I mean, it's just anywhere you go in that area, it's trout fishing, and it's a great place to be.
We also, of course, have smallmouth bass fishing. We've got the Crooked Creek. We've got Buffalo. And there's a lot of small streams. I have a little stream that's out back of my place, and I catch smallmouth.
We got out of Crooked Creek, and there was a conservation agent there. And he was doing a survey of how many fish you caught, what you were using, how big they were. And we had a really rough day. It was in August, so it was really dry. We had a really rough day, and we were fly fishing. And he was kind of laughing because we were fly fishing, because a lot of guys, are, conventional spin fishing there.
Surely.
And he was like, wow, you guys are fly fishing. You've caught like 2 of the biggest fish of the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was so neat, but the access points were great to get your kayak in and get your kayak out. Beautiful. I mean, the buffalo, amazing. I mean, I can't say enough about that. I've talked about it so much on the podcast, people are tired of hearing it. But it's a beautiful part where the Ozarks and what the Ouachitas sort of start to meet down in through there.
Yes, it's I really like that, except when it floods. It's you got to be really careful, because if you have a lot of rain, you need to go ahead and put your camping gear up and head on out, because it can get you.
Yeah, and that's the way it is here in our Ozarks. I've been camping before, and I've been told at 2:00 in the morning you have to go.
Yes,
and it's like,
I mean it.
Yeah, it's like, don't fold your tent. Pick your tent up, throw it in the bed of the truck first, throw all your stuff with your cooler on top, and get to high ground. And I think that safety is something, and even with the water release schedule, I know I talked the other day on the podcast with one of my other guests about water release schedules. You need to know what those are, because those are very important. And talking about dammed rivers, you really need to understand that. And Arkansas is great to share that information with you.
Well, and we do have, the schedule and all of that, and you can pull stuff up on your phone, but you can't always rely upon that. So, I mean, have you a rock that you're looking at? If you're out there wade fishing, have you a rock you're looking at, and you watch that rock every little bit just to make sure that the water's not coming up on you.
Yeah. And that's really important, because I've actually talked to guys on the Little Red, wink, wink,
yes.
wink, wink, when they released water, and they were like coming up like almost over their waders, where they were only knee deep going out. And so it's really something you've got to pay attention to. But I think as a fly fisherman, that's what we've got to do anyway to catch fish. We've got to pay attention. We've got to look at the water. We've got to watch what's going on. We've got to understand the ecosystem of the time of year. What are some of your favorite bugs for Arkansas?
You think I'm going to tell you that?
Oh, I thought maybe you'd share at least one.
Well, I tie a little mouse pattern that I really like. actually, and I'll be tying that. Actually, I'm going to teach it on Saturday morning at Sowbug. So I've got a team of 4 women, and we are going to actually have a class on Saturday morning. It's workshop, and I'm going to do a mouse. One of the ladies is going to do a spider. And one's doing a frog. I mean, we're staying with all the animals, all the little aquatics. So I think that would be might be a good class you want to sit in on. It's limited to 10. I don't know how many have signed up so far, but we'll have the materials there for you, and there will be vices there, so you can just sit down and go to work.
You know what? I've got the River Road Creations. Tony's been such a great supporter of the show through donations and things like that. I've got the STP frog cutter. And I can bring that down with me if you want to cut some, or I can just cut some out and bring down, and you can tie some up and see what you think, because those are really neat. And I mean, they're great. I mean, for replicating stuff. And I don't know if you're doing foam or not, like a master splinter. If you're going to do a deer hair, I don't know, but I mean, I'm ready to find out.
Yeah, we're going to do foam, but that's all we're going to tell you.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Yes.
That is the absolute best way to do it.
Be there.
Yes. And again, it's only like $10 for all 3 days.
It's incredible how cheap it is. And, of course, we hope that you spend more money with the booths and with the raffles and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, we're there. This is really focused on the tires. And you can sit there and talk to a tire. A lot of them will actually give you, I know I'll hand out mice whenever I'm tying those. I don't think I'm going to tie mice when I'm at the, when I'm actually tying, but I think I'm going to do something else, which is to be announced later. No.
I've worked a couple of shows, just people I knew that had a bench, and I would tie, and I never brought anything home.
Yes, you just leave them. Yeah.
Anybody that comes by and they're interested in it and they want to talk to me, and I show them how to tie it. And we're talking about some of my great big warm water flies, and even down to some smaller midges. And, it's whoever's walking by, it catches their interest. And if you can share with them how to tie that fly and give them that fly, whether they fish it or they take it home and they take it apart to figure out what was in it because they walked in halfway through. Either way, that's a great thing for fly tyers and fly fishermen.
Yes, it is. And it's also a great way because usually on Friday, the schools let the kids out and they get to come to the show. And so that's kind of nice too. I think some of the homeschoolers, I'm not sure who all comes, but I see a lot of kids there. And that's wonderful because we're giving a whole new generation the ability to hopefully fly fish.
Yes. And, I'm teaching school now. And the biology teacher and I were actually trying to figure out that we sort of cornered the principal today. It wasn't like we said, "Oh, excuse me, do you have time?" We just sort of went in and we're like, it's a beautiful day. We need a field trip because Mr. Seabaw's kids are going to read some Hemingway about fly fishing, or a couple chapters out of A River Runs Through It. And Mr. Julian's biology class needs to look at fish. And so we're going to teach the kids to go fly fishing.
Oh man, I think that's great. So when's that going to happen?
She was taking it under advisement.
Oh, that's the ultimate maybe no.
Maybe no, but we are strong that we can strong arm her into it. I can have the kids write very persuasive essays why they need some time out of school to go learn to fly fish.
But that's not out of school. That's just school in a different environment, because it really is.
Yeah, it is. And, that's one of the great things, and I've done many times in the past. We'll read some Hemingway, or we'll read a book that involves fly fishing, and I'll bring in my fly tying kits. I'll bring in like one basic pattern, like a foam grasshopper, and I'll bring it in and I'll have all the stuff, and the kids they'll tie it. And they're just amazed. And then they're like, can I keep it? And I look at the ones that I'm like, yeah, you can keep that one. And then they're like, I always got that one kid that's got the really good one. I'm like, you can keep it when you tie 12 more.
Oh,
I got a little production line going.
Okay. So
Like,
you are identifying prodigies right there in your class.
yes. And I'm like, you are coming to work for me. I'll give you 33 cents a fly.
That's about what you make.
Yeah, that's exactly, I'm not making any money off of it. It's just they tie them better than I do.
Well, we do have a youth program, and Michael Terry's in charge of that. And so he's going to have some tying for youth,
Mhm.
and they've got some great giveaways for the kids. I mean, they're going to leave out, and it may not be a fly rod. They may even end up with just a rod and reel that's a old timey one like we used to have. But it's great, and the kids really enjoy it. And we need to have more kids because we don't typically have a full class, and there's some wonderful kits and different things for them that they offer.
I know we've done it a couple of years, especially pre-COVID. I don't know if I'm assuming we'll do it this year. I think it's fallen on me to take it over. We do a fly casting clinic at one of the ponds that they stock trout in. So that first weekend in November, they trout the stock or trout the stock. They stock the trout the 1st of November, and so that weekend we'll have a fly casting clinic. There's a bunch of guys that I know, and we sort of get together and we'll teach people from little kids all the way up. But then there's like a giveaway, and then there's like one fly rod that goes to somebody 16 or under. And
Oh,
that
wow.
and they, and it's not, I'm not talking about like just some big box store fly. I mean, it's a nice, like I'm sitting here going, do you think they'd notice if I traded, a nice fly rod? And it's so great to watch, and it's great to watch anybody at any age learn how to fly fish. But it's something about watching a kid learn how to do it. And then you go down, you cast for half a day, lunch is provided, and then you go down and you fish. And to watch that kid catch that fish on that fly rod, and especially the kid who won the fly rod, watching him catch that fish on his fly rod, that trout for his first trout ever. It's beautiful. I don't think we can do enough to get the kids into it.
I agree. And if they're, and then the tying, if they've tied the fly, because not everybody can win
Mm-hmm.
the rod, but everybody can tie the fly, and then they take it, and if they catch a fish with that fly, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I remember when I first did that, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. I remember I was like, I took a little fly tying class over at the Career and Technology Center, and it was like the biggest thing we tied was a size 10 woolly bugger.
Mm.
And everything else. And I'm trying to see, I can't see any of this. And I actually tied some size 20s this winter. So I've gotten better, but I found better reading
Better
glasses.
Peters? Yes.
Yeah. But that idea, if you're not a fly tyer, and I know that there's some guys, I know there's some guys and gals that listen to the show that don't necessarily tie flies. And this is one of those where, take a chance, go to a show, do a demo, go to your local club, find out where your local club is and tie a fly, because that ugly, nasty fly that everybody's going to turn their nose up at that you catch a fish on, that you tied, that's the way to
Yes.
go.
I say there's fish, there's we can tie flies for fish, and then there's tying flies for the humans.
Yeah.
And the ones for the fish, they are not nearly as discriminating as the ones that we have to tie for humans.
Yep. You look at anything, and it's the best thing ever. I'm very particular. I tie flies to catch fishermen.
Oh, of course you do,
And if
because
it's
you're selling them.
yeah,
Yes.
well, and if it's a reject, I throw it in my pile for my friends. So
Oh.
I've got 3 fly boxes that I keep with me, and they're 88 fly boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep them with me all the time, and I've got their initials written on them for my friends, so I can tell what they use and what they like. And so when we go out together, they get to use my fly boxes. And
Oh.
I'll be damned if some of the nastiest janky flies that I've given to Grant so that he won't catch, he outfishes me on.
Oh man. Well, either he's a really good fisherman or just lucky. Probably luck.
Lucky, it's got to be lucky. Yeah, that's what it's got to be. But I think some of us are like that. We look at a fly and we're like, kind of disappointed, but we don't take that fly out and fish it. We can see how productive it is. So even young tires and new tires can catch great fish.
Oh, absolutely. And we have Dry Run Creek here,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're under 16, oh man, those kids can catch just hogs, just
Oh.
huge. I've taken when my nephew was of the right age. I would take him over there, and he just caught some huge fish.
That's funny because the first time I was in that part of the state, we drove over there and we walked down, and to see the parents with the kids and to see what the kids are pulling out, there were a couple of us that were kind of looking at the kid going, can I reel that in?
Really? I mean,
how
a
many of
30
those?
acres, nothing. It's just,
How
and
many of those have you caught? I
you
mean, and
see people there with little nets, and you
yeah,
need a big net when you're there.
and a long net.
Yes.
But it's again, it's just, you look for these places where if you're a dad or a mom, look for these places because there's a lot of places similar to that. Maybe not of the quality because that place is really, really nice. I mean, you walk into some of these places where they charge it, it's not that nice. I mean,
Oh, well, Dave Whitlock designed all of this and put it together. I think Davey Watton helped some. But anyway, yes, it's gorgeous, and it's a lot better than it was before he did all the design work on it. And one of the coolest things in the fall, October, November area, when those fish start coming up to spawn, you'll see them just like they do in Alaska. They jump up over the rocks, and I can just sit there. I'm just mesmerized by what they're doing. I'm just like, oh wow, man, those folks they're really excited about spawning.
and we obviously don't get that here, but in the spring we get the hybrid bass that don't understand that spawning is irrelevant.
Oh
And
yes.
they come up out of the lakes, and we've been a little bit late, but just staying back, 200 yards and just watching the eagles come down
Mm.
and nail those big hybrids. It's if you enjoy nature and the outdoors at all, some of those things are just incredible. Just don't even, I'm not going to say don't take your fly rod because you need to take it, but just sit back and watch some of that.
And I love catching hybrids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's such a neat experience, but there's so many things. I mean, you've got a couple of lakes down there that are really great.
Well, but we don't talk about them.
No, but you've got a couple.
Yeah, we do have a couple.
Yeah.
We want to keep them that way.
Yeah. You've got a couple of really nice lakes down there. What's that one down by Little Rock?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually Maumelle down by Little Rock is a great lake for white bass.
Yep.
They go up and there's a whole creek up there that they go up, and of course people kind of line the banks since it's so close to a large metropolitan area.
It's like Steelhead.
Yeah.
It's like going out for Steelhead where your best friend is, 2 inches beside you.
Well, I've never steelhead fished, but I've seen it, and I'm going like, I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing missing are the bears.
No bear. Actually, you could have bear there.
Not grizzly bears, though.
Not grizzlies. No.
Yeah.
But, black bear can be kind of mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're just unpredictable.
Yeah.
I mean, grizzlies are mean all the time. Black bears, right. They might be and might not be.
Yeah. Grizzly bears are the smallmouth bass of, the animal kingdom. They wake up mad. I can tell you a
story. I was up on the Sutton River in Ontario, and this was the last night. It was a 10-day canoe trip. This has been about, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago. And I had camped kind of with my husband. We'd camped kind of to the side because I was the only female in this group, because I was the only female, I think, that had ever taken this trip, according to the pilot that brought us in on the float planes. But anyway, so I'd kind of, stayed to the side to let the guys have their special sounds and everything. And, anyway, but the last night we were in camp, and a grizzly bear, I didn't know it, but something hit the side of my tent. And then I had my dry bag and I just slammed it against it because I thought it was the wind because
Right.
it was raining and everything. And then it hit me in the head. And I go, oh, that is not that is something different. And then it went on around, and you keep all your gear outside your tent because, it is grizzly bear country. And it went through all of that. Matter of fact, I still have a dry bag that has a hole in it from where the grizzly bear took a bite. But it was the bag we kept in our boat, and I'm sure it thought it was a fish or smelled like a seal or something. But I am one of the few people that has had a direct encounter and touch with a grizzly bear and lived to tell about it.
And that is amazing because the closest I've ever come is a skunk.
Well, that would be kind of stinky.
It walked right between me and the campfire like I wasn't even there, and I'm like, oh.
Really?
Yes, it was bizarre.
Did it get you?
No, it didn't pay attention to any of. There were 4 of us sitting around the campfire like you described, and it walked right between me and the fire and went off into a little thing of bushes, and it never even paid attention, never sped up, never slowed down. And I'm thinking, this is like I'm gonna die. This thing's it's gonna spray me, and then it's gonna bite me, and the paramedics are gonna refuse to give me rabies medicine. But you had a grizzly bear, so you beat my story.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to outdo you, but it is so true. And there was a write-up in it in one of the Boundary Waters magazines. But anyway, this was up in Ontario. And I will tell you, those grizzlies are very, very big because my husband opened up the tent and there it was. And, and I started screaming and he was screaming. And of course, the guide came out and they don't shoot them like really. They just shoot, I don't know, saltpeter or something at them. I don't know. It was something. And it just kind of looked around and kind of ambled off.
Yeah. Some of them will reload shotgun shells with rock salt.
And maybe that's what it was.
It stings, but it doesn't. They don't get hurt.
I don't see how it could even sting because the fur on that thing was unbelievable. And it had been raining and it was still just, big puffy. It was a young male.
Did you grab your scissors and get some to tie with?
I did not because they probably wouldn't have let me out of Canada if I had. But that would have, he should have given me some because he scared me pretty good.
You should have just reached out there and clipped some off of him.
Oh, yeah. Right off of his rump, right there where he was.
Hey, you could be having those flies. You'd be catching big fish on them,
Oh, man, I didn't, that did not even enter my mind. I was looking for my knife because every other night I had kept my knife there because we were in these little A-frame tents. And I'd had my knife, so you could slit it in case you needed to get out or escape. Yeah. And that night, we had done a long, because we had fished too much. And so we were headed out the next day to catch the float plane. So we had to do a very long ride. No, by day 10, there's nothing to drink left.
So you're not embellishing this. There wasn't
We're
any.
Not embellishing at all. No, it was. But that was. I've never caught so many trout. They were sea run brook trout, and don't tell anybody, but I might have even eaten one or two, and they were really good.
And I will say this: I have had the opportunity to eat a legal brown trout. It was well above Missouri keeper standards. And I'm talking like big. For Missouri, it was massive. And man, the guy who cooked it put rosemary and lemon. Forget about it. It was so good. You'll never eat a stocker trout again once you've had one of these.
Well, I've never been a big brown trout fan. I think I need to get your cook.
I'm tell you what, it was all together. He just cleaned it really good and then laid those lemons and rosemary and stuff in there and put it in the oven and just baked it in the oven. And man, and he just brought it out. And it was a guy that owned the campsite that we camped at all the time. And he comes over on his 4-wheeler, and his buddy's on another 4-wheeler that they had been fishing together. He goes, "Hey, I thought I'd share this with you guys because you're always here." And man, we just stick your fingers in and just pull out big pieces of rich pink meat, and just, so good.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, this meat was really white, almost brook trout, and he did it in some sort of butter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course, after you've been out there 7 or 8 days and you get some really good fresh meat, you're going like, that's really good.
It could have been horse. You wouldn't have cared.
It could have been. It could have been grizzly bear.
Yeah. The problem with bear is, though, it's really tough and greasy.
That's what I hear. I've never eaten bear.
I got the opportunity once, and it was very interesting, and I would eat it again. We have a very small bear season here, but you guys have a heck of a bear season down there.
We do. Yes, we do. But it's black bear. It's not
right.
Not grizzly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've thought about this a lot.
And I said grizzly bear. This was polar bear that got me. I need to get my story straight here, don't
I? I don't think I would have a problem shooting a grizzly bear, because I'm definitely going to be on their menu. But
yes, you are.
I don't know if I could shoot a black bear or not.
Well, black bears, they're just unpredictable. I could if one was challenging me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to go hunting for one, I don't know if I could do
I
that.
don't hunt for anything.
Yeah.
I even quit squirrel hunting. I was like, oh man, I feed them at my house and then I go out and shoot them. I mean, that's just crazy.
Well, you know what I do? I don't know if you've ever heard this story or not, but I actually have a live trap, and I catch them. And then I have a little tomato paste can, and I fill it with peanut butter, and I stick their heads in, and then I shave them bald and let them go. That way I've got enough hair for dubbing.
Gotcha. Well, I will tell you that about 2 weeks ago, I got a squirrel tail. It was dead, and I just cut the tail off and kept it. So I have roadkill.
And that's the weird, and I'm going to deviate from this because you said roadkill. Have you seen on social media all these guys that are like, I saw an owl get hit by a car, or it was laying beside the road, and what feathers? And people are like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Because you can't have that stuff, even if it's roadkill.
Yes. No eagle feathers unless you are a certain Indian tribe.
Yeah, you've got to call the conservation department and say, this red-tailed hawk was on the side of the road. Come out here. And if you're lucky, they'll give you a couple. But it's it's a no-no. Like jungle cock. I mean, for how long that was, even if you bought it legally, you couldn't do anything with it. I mean, there's so many rules and regulations about that you really need to know and understand those. So I can't believe how fast this time is going. Talk to me about
it. Over?
No, we've got 18 minutes left.
Okay.
But I mean, that was a fast 42 minutes. So
well, we just kind of, I don't know. We always talk back and forth. Seems like pretty well. Well, let me tell you where the Sowbug is. We probably need to tell you that. It's in Mountain Home, Arkansas at the fairgrounds. And it's in the main building, most of it. And we have somewhat fewer tires this year. We were kind of, and we've got a configuration to try to keep people more apart because of the COVID restrictions. We will have some really nice masks. It's not KN95, but it's equivalent to the KN95 masks that are actually been donated from a company that makes them here. And they're quite comfortable, so you are encouraged to wear a mask, but you don't have to. So, there's a lot of older people that tie, and I think it's just respectful, if you can, to go ahead and wear a mask.
Yeah, and I know that everybody has dropped it. I mean, even, the State of the Union address, they had dropped it. California, Illinois, which I'm, 2 miles from, a mile from the river and another mile across it, but they've all dropped it. But especially if you're going to be around folks that may have a compromised immune system, it's just respectful. It's not a political statement. I know a lot of people have made masks political, and it's not a political statement when you're around, folks, that are older and a little bit more susceptible to that. So, take that in consideration. And we're lucky that we're getting to have this. And we're lucky that some of the older folks are coming back out and doing stuff, because I know for a long time, a lot of the, older guys and gals just weren't going out. And it's great to have them able to come out and share with us what they know.
And they know, I mean, there are some of them like Dave Whitlock. I
Yeah.
mean, that man knows more in his little finger than I know total. It is just amazing. And especially if you're going to be around Dave, I think it would be really nice if you did wear a mask, because he has had some medical issues.
Yeah.
And, there's just no sense in causing any more issues than we have to.
Right.
But I think respect is the word for it. I love the way you said that.
Yeah. And let me ask this. I know Dally's got his fly shop just down the street from there. Is he going to
Yes.
come in? Is he going to be at the show?
Yes, he will have probably a double wide booth. I can't remember, maybe bigger than that. Dally's is also sponsoring our fly tying dinner.
Okay.
And he'll be there with they'll have a lot of product there, and they'll also probably, which they do each year, I haven't heard this year, but they usually have a big sale at their store, and they usually have some reps from Sage and different places, different companies that come in during Sowbug.
And I've bought things from all three of the fly shops that I've been down there, so I don't like one more than the other. I'm going to say that. I'm be as neutral as possible.
Copper John, who's so nice to you.
Yeah, Copper John was great. Dally's, they were really good. They were really nice. Natural State was really cool. I actually traded some flies at Natural State.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was really fun. That's because cool. I said something. I said, I tie one like this, and he's like, go get it. And I came in and I opened my fly box. He's like, I want this one. I want that one. I'm like, here you go. And so that was a really cool thing at the Natural State. And then, we ate breakfast across the street, and I was walking. Sands? Yep. And I was walking back to my truck, and the guy that had been there hollered at me. He's like, hey, come over. And we start talking about my kayak. I mean, it was very, very friendly, and it was really great. And Dally's was great. He wasn't there. Steve wasn't there. But the guys that he has working for him are extremely knowledgeable. And then, of course, Copper John's, they have some guiding that they do, and they were extremely knowledgeable. And I bought a couple of flies to look at, to make new flies. And then I bought the stuff to make those flies there. So, you can't go wrong in that part of Arkansas.
No, you can't. And one of the things that they have at Dally's that's kind of nice, Dwayne Hayda ties a lot of smallmouth flies, and he's kind of the guru around here on smallmouth. And they have kits on how you can tie his flies. And wow.
Yeah.
That's very special.
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the things that I know Nick Dooley's starting to do again is some of these kits. And he featured one of my flies on one of the kits, and I thought that was really
really?
Cool. Yeah.
Now you talk about an ego boost.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool, and I wound up tying a bunch of those when I was up there at his shop, and it was people just loved it, But well, and it's so funny because you talk about this. I didn't take anything with me to tie with other than my vise, my bobbins, and and then I bought everything there and tied these flies. And then when people were asking me, I had all the materials on the table, and I don't know how many sets of materials that he sold that day, but it's, you have, and fly tying is interesting because you have a fly, you have the guy who created it. Then you have another guy who modified it. And then you have another guy who never saw the original creation, so he modified the modified one. And so you wind up with all these different types of flies. And by the time you get to the ones I was tying, they were so different from the pattern that I saw, because instead of doing chenille, I just kept my schlappen long and made my schlappen the body. And who knows where this fly actually started.
Who ever came up with the word schlappen? I mean, that is just the worst word.
Oh, no, I love it.
Do you? Okay.
I love it. It's like pantaloons.
Oh, okay. Well, I use that slapping sometimes whenever I'm tying my mouse. and to make an alternate like you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about. And I use that a lot when I'm in the boundary waters. They love the yellow and green. I'll put that together.
Oh yeah.
And even though it's a mouse, I think they probably think it looks more like a frog. I don't know what they think, but they sure like it.
What I think is you've got to think about a fish is looking up,
Yes.
and everything on the outside is going to be bright, and so you think about that. I mean, and a lot of field mice are dark brown or black. And you got something with a little bit more color, a little bit easier to distinguish, maybe that might be it. But it's so weird. And this is something that's really funny. My creeks that I fish, all my crawfish are orange. I cannot catch a fish on orange crawfish fly.
Really?
Only olive.
Olive. Okay. Well, they have both up in the boundary waters where I like to fish, and I do much better on the orange.
Yep. I think
So
it's
you just never know until you're there.
I think our rocks are so orange that the olive stands out better. And that's the only thing. And because we've talked about, we're like, if you're going to match the hatch and you're going to match the crawfish, right? So you're going to throw the orange ones, the rust colored orange ones. Nope. They ignore them. They don't, it's like they're not even messing with it. You throw out an olive one and bam, they're on it.
Well, of course, now are the olive ones, are they the small ones that are the ones, because they do they turn more orange as their shell gets older, or are they truly orange?
They are our creek gravel is a tan to bright orange.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it any other way. And our crawfish are that exact same color. And they blend in so well. And so you'll pick it up and it's like 2 shades darker than hunter orange, and then a little bit of brown and a little bit of rust. I mean, they're bright. They are really bright. They're not like the ones like you find you're going to cook that are the dark brown. They're not that color. They're ones that live in shallow, clean spring water, and I tied a bunch in olive, and then I tied a bunch in orange. And I haven't tied orange ones in 8 years, and we still have orange ones because you throw one on and they just don't produce. And
well,
you throw
bring me your orange ones and I'll get rid of them for you.
That'll work. I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much, and you think about, a lot of flies, especially midges and stuff, colors. And you think, well, if it's going to be, you're tying on a 1/0 hook for a smallmouth bass, hell, it's just going to, as much as it moves, it's going to do it. But I mean, color plays a big part. Have you found that too with trout fishing for you?
I think so. It's one of those things you're going like, yeah, I think it was the color that did it. Sometimes I think it's luck. Sometimes I think it's color. Sometimes I think it's movement. Sometimes I think it's just when they had lunch.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I do believe, especially when you're looking at the light and the dark and the day and all that sort of. I really think that it is a factor. That color is definitely a factor.
And minnows are the exact opposite, I've found. The brighter the day, the brighter the minnow color. So if I'm going to throw like a mini game changer and it's really bright outside, I'm going to throw a white one. If it's overcast, I'm going to throw an olive one. But the crayfish are just the opposite. And I'm like, how is this happening?
Well, I know, and I throw orange clousers, and they're top and bottom orange. I use a deer tail, and I'll take the darker hair on top, and I use that as one of my colors, and then the lighter orange, and that is just a killer up in the boundary waters.
Really?
Yes.
Man, I tell you what, and anybody you talk to that ties flies and fishes, they're all going to tell you something different.
Surely.
But I think that's part of the great part of it. And so, I mean, just some of the flies that you tie, what are some of your favorites? And not to fish, but to tie. Like if you're talking about somebody that just wants to sit down and tie some flies and enjoy the process, what are some great flies that you like?
Oh, wow. You know, I have recently started tying some saltwater flies because we've not done a lot of that, and I want to start doing a little more saltwater fishing. There's the cutest little crab, and you use that McFly foam,
Yep.
and you pull it up. I mean, it looks like just crap. And then you pull all that up, and you just cut it, and it makes this perfect little round body. And I'm going like, oh, that looks so much like a crab. It's just gratifying to see it.
Yep.
So I would say that's probably my newest favorite fly.
Yeah, and it's fun to tie those.
It really is. I had just never tied one before, and it takes a little bit of time because you've got to cut everything, and everything has to have little knots in it, but it's great.
Yeah, whenever I'm going to saltwater, we fish them like one night. We stay up late enough to fish them, and I tie like 100 of them, and they're the popping shrimp. They're the disco popping shrimp. So it's a foam shrimp body, and it's got a little. It's like I don't know. You get it from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever you have, but it's a cup shape like a disco ball kind of. It's got all the reflective corners. And you just pop it across the top of the water, and those sea trout just nail it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's one of the most fun flies to tie because you get to use some techniques that you don't have so much. And it's really neat. And like I said, my friends always laugh at me. They're like, you fish 4 flies. And I'm like, yes. They're like, how many do you tie in a year of different varieties? I'm like, 18.
At least. I mean, sometimes I just like to just sit down and just tie something different. That's
Yeah. I've got a 4x4 box that has inserts in it full of flies that I have no intention of ever fishing because they were fun to tie. And I know if I take them to the river, I'm just wasting my time.
Well, and attitude and your mental attitude on what you think about those has a difference. Probably that friend of yours that you says out fishes you, he's going in that box and he's going, I'm kind of liking this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's me saying, I'm just going to throw my confidence flies. How often, talking about that real quick, can we go just a little bit longer? Because I'm just enjoying this way too much.
No problem.
Just 5 or 10 minutes, a little bit longer.
Sure.
What are some of your confidence flies, and what do you think about those? How fast do you change from one fly to another?
I have a friend, Tony Austin, and he says you need to change pretty often, and you need to move around often if you're wade fishing. And I have to just dynamite myself out of a hole. But I'm just thinking, okay, there's another fly. If I just put on a different fly. I have a little caddis kind of cased fly that I like to tie. But I have to get the right color. And sometimes Wapsi makes the right color. So when I see it, I buy it. But I have to get the right color chenille. And I really like that little fly of course, certain times of year. I love my mouse pattern. And like I say, I've got me a new favorite with my crab. I like tying clousers.
Yeah. And they're effective.
Clousers, you can do so many things. You can use marabou, you can use foxtail, you can use your deer tail, anything. So I really like tying those. I love fishing with topwater, so I tie quite a few of those, and I like to make them out of cork. Okay. But I've not been able to get good cork. So I don't know. It seems like it's always got chunks in it. Then I have to fill it all in. And time I do that, it just doesn't seem like it's cork anymore.
Do you run
some old cork that I continually recycle?
Do you have like a mini lathe that you spin your heads down on? Or do you do it by hand?
I do it by hand. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's my anniversary present. I asked for one of those mini lathes to spin
cork on.
Yeah. Well, I'm young. I'm young.
That's right.
I'm only 28. I'm only 28 years old.
You know what? I'm just going to take that at face value. So who knows?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite? You said you like that little shrimp. Bring me one of those if you think about it.
I will. Man, I tell you what, I love fishing because warm water. I love fishing crayfish, and I love tying crayfish patterns.
Gretchen, get her. She's going to tie that on that Saturday morning. You need to come see that. She has an easy crayfish that is fabulous, and it's fun to tie.
I'm trying to figure out. I had the guy from Trout Tornado, and I don't want to missay his name, so it was, and I feel bad because my brain goes like this when we're doing these conversations. And he takes like
then you're not 28.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, go ahead.
But he takes a lot of the big flies, the big 6-inch flies, and takes them down to like 2 inches. And they're beautiful, but he's got to change some stuff in there. But I'm sitting here looking at my big 1/0 crayfish, and I'm trying to figure out how to drop it down to a size 10.
Oh, I bet we could do that easy.
Yeah, and I've looked at a couple, and I want to articulate it a little bit, maybe, to make it just like a 6 or an 8 millimeter articulated back. And I'm just thinking this thing is trout are gonna destroy it, number one. And then the smallies are just gonna go ape for it, And then there's that whole thing of how big your claws are, because some people swear by smaller claws or smaller pinchers because the bass are intimidated by the bigger ones. And I'm just sitting here going, I just want to tie a really small crayfish. And that's sort of what I've been messing with lately. And I've been making a dubbing brush, trying to see how small I can keep going on that Oasis dubbing brush table, just to see how small I can make it so I can wrap it with that instead of having to use, and then I was going to use pheasant for the claws.
Oh, okay.
But I think the pheasant may be too big, so I may have to go with quail or partridge. But it's just, it's the neat part is sitting there and messing with it and trying to figure out what you're going to do.
Yes, it is. And that's just the whole part of it. And then taking it out and trying it, and then you tweak it again.
Yeah,
I find that to be really fascinating and fun.
What's great is when you take it off your line when you're eating lunch and you throw it at your buddy and you're like, this is horrible. And he puts it on and he catches fish all day. And then you feel like a schmuck.
It must be that same buddy. I think I'm going fishing with him.
I'm done with him. I'm just, it's horrible. It's horrible. We were down in the saltwater and he was catching fish on the fly. And I'm like, dude, I haven't caught one yet. And I started with shrimp just to catch dinner, Maybe I'm a little loud. I don't know.
Well, everybody has their has their days too. Yeah. You got to remember that.
I didn't go to the hospital on a fishing trip yet, so I got that one above him.
That's good.
I removed all my hooks myself.
Yes, I used to be the person that removed all of them. But now they've got neat techniques where you don't have to really cut off, because you used to have to push it through and cut it off and go back. And
I still do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but there's a way you can wrap thread around it, and you can
line around. Yeah, wrap the line.
I'm like, just push it through and cut it off. I'm too afraid you're gonna rip something else out. And the first time that happened to me was on the Buffalo River.
Oh my!
Oh yeah.
They have in the hospital emergency room here at Baxter Regional. They have a big old thing of just flies and lures that they have taken out of people. So it happens pretty frequently.
It does. Oh, it is so funny. And we all act like, oh, well, that's never going to happen to me. And the next thing you know, you got an earring.
Yes. And that earring's also stuck in the neck, or whatever. It's like
the hopper dropper earring. It's, you got it attached to your nose and over to your ear, and you look like you're ready to go out to a party. Oh, but you were talking about getting the right color chenille. I got some, and I ordered it because we don't have a fly shop here in Cape. And it was I got it for Rainbow Warriors, so it was the Rainbow Sow Scud dubbing from Wapsie. And it looks good, but there's a lot of gray in it. And I see all these photos, and there's nowhere near as much gray as I've got. What is it that you look for in something when you go to a fly shop?
Well, it depends on what I'm fishing. I mean, what I'm looking
but I
for.
mean, do you look through? Do you look through a lot of different? Like, if they've got a whole line of materials, do you look through them?
Yes. You know, and if I've got quite a bit of that chenille now, but you know, if you look at different dye lots, they are going to be quite different. And if I see one that I like, then I'll buy, 4 or 5, whatever they've got in that particular dye lot. Yes.
I know I've done that with Dooley. I'll be like, hey, I need this, but can you send me photos if you've got variations?
Yes.
And he's nice enough to me. I mean, I'm sure you probably do it for anybody that got a hold of him, but he'll send me different photos, and I'm like, okay, I want photo number 2, because that is a big deal. Those dye lots are a big deal.
And we go back to the color. You asked me if I thought color was important. Well, on certain things, yeah, I think color is hugely important. And then others I go like, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, one of the guests that's been on, and he was supposed to come on, and he had a fly show, and I texted him to see if he was going to be at the Sowbug, and I don't know if it is I don't know if Tim Camisa is going to make it to the Sowbug or not. But he talks a lot about some of the colors and things like that, and how you sort of put things together, and I've found his videos to be very educational. Are there any? I know you probably don't look at any videos for new flies, but is there somebody that you like to look at when you do?
Oh,
You can say
those
kayak
roadkill
flyer.
dudes.
You can say kayak flyer.
Yeah, those roadkill dudes down in. Yeah, it's making me blush here. Those roadkill guys down in Texas, some of them just have some wonderful flies. And so I watch some of those. Of course, I do a number of Zooms. Women Connect, we do Zooms regularly. The Beaties, I think, do wonderful Zoom presentations.
They're great. They're great. Every Friday night.
Yes. And I've rarely made one of those. Matter of fact, they've asked me to tie, and I told them, I said, next season, because this year I am just, I've got a lot going on. But
I'll tell you what, tell Al that you'll only tie if you and I tie together.
Okay. Hey, I think that'd be great.
That would be funny. And Al will be like, no.
We can do like last night with Mia and Adam. She was doing she called it the electric chicken popper.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was doing a real one, so we can trade off.
Yes, and jig hooks are something I've been tying a lot on. Size 14 and size 16 and even 18 jig hooks. 60-degree bend. Do you fish a lot of those?
I do. And I also fish the ones that are pre-set up.
Okay.
When I do my egg patterns, I'll do them on a jig hook.
Yeah.
But and I do my own coloring. I like to color my jigs.
Oh, you do the powder coating and everything?
I do, yeah. And I've worked a lot with youth. And of course, you got fire, you got paint, you've got all kinds of possibilities for potential explosive issues.
Yes.
And they love it. So,
I've hand loaded enough bullets. My wife doesn't let me play with lead anymore.
Oh, does she not?
No, evidently I've got all the lead that between my grandmother's house and reloading, I'm not supposed to be around lead anymore.
Oh, that explains things.
Yeah. Lead chips taste really good.
Do they now?
When you're 4, they are the greatest thing in the world. Patty,
you might have been a genius. Who knew?
I could have been, but instead, I'm a silly old fly fisherman out here,
having fun,
having a great time. And talking about this, Patty, we're gonna have to get you back on again. I mean, you and I, we start talking, and the time's gone.
It is. I agree.
I mean, this has been great, and I will let you to go ahead and talk about Women Connect and then about Fly Fisher International, and then we'll go ahead and we'll leave the show. But I want people to know what these are that are so important to you and that you devote so much of your time to.
I do devote an incredible amount of time to Women Connect. I've got on a Women Connect shirt, but it is part of Fly Fishers International. And one of the things that we're trying to do is get more women into fly fishing. And we also want to get more women into being guides, into being fly shop owners. We want to see women being in all aspects because we know how much fun it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, there needs to be a similar representation to our, like 50-50 for women. And I know that someone else already stole that logo, but
Well,
I think Orvis, or is it Orvis, has 50-50?
I think,
50-50
but
on the water, but it doesn't matter. We do want to get more and more women into fly fishing, and however aspect they want to go.
At Women, Wine, and Waiters.
Oh yeah, that's a group.
That is a great group.
It is. And there are a number of really great groups. And one of the things that we're trying to do, matter of fact, we've got a trip coming up to the Amazon. We're going down to fish in Brazil. We're going to fish for a peacock bass. Now, the trip's full, but we did the driftless last year. We're going to do it again this year. We're going down to Padre Island in October and fish for redfish. So, we're doing trips and we're trying to get more women involved and trying to get women where, women have a unique thing that we really like to connect. Right. And I know that Women Connect, that kind of sounds kind of like hokey, but women do really like to connect. I know when my son was small, he'd go to the playground. I'd say, "Well, who'd you play with?" Or what was that little boy's name? He couldn't tell you anything. He just, just a boy. And you ask a girl the same question, she can not only tell you the kid's name, she can tell you their parents' names, what the dad does, what the mom does, where they live, and all kinds of stuff.
Well,
so it's just a difference in men and women.
That's really funny because the guy who keeps, lack of a better word, screwing me over on my own flies. The only reason we met was his daughter. He moved into our area, and his daughter was in my daughter's class.
Oh.
And she goes, "My dad fishes." My daughter goes, "My dad fly fishes." They're in third grade, okay?
They're
in third grade.
Up at each other.
Yeah, and then this girl goes, "Well, my dad fly fishes." And Addison goes, "My dad ties his own flies." And the next day, my wife got a phone call. Will your husband take my husband on a play date?
Really?
Really?
Well, that's girls.
That's girls. And like my son, Coop, I'll say something to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, somebody at the park, Yeah. And Addison and Brooke, they know everybody, all the history. They come home and gossip. Oh my goodness.
That's not gossip. It's just giving you the information you need.
I tell you what, I teach 30 miles away from my house, and my kids come home and tell me stuff that happened at my school that I didn't know about.
Really? Wow.
They are something. And it's funny though, but it's great for women to, and I'm not going to do the whole don't telephone, don't telegraph, tell a woman it's twice as fast joke, because that would be rude. So I'm not going to do that, Patty.
That is rude. Yes.
I would never tell that joke. But women do enjoy being together.
Yes.
And when women fish, and when I've seen women fish, women sort of stay together when they're fishing. Where my experience with my friends is like, "Yeah, I'm going downstream. All right, I'll see you at the truck at whatever." Is that something you've seen too with Women Connect, with the camaraderie versus the guys that are just, going out?
I see both. A lot of women do kind of stick together. And part of that, I think, is their insecurity maybe with the water and wanting to have someone close by, because there seems to be a few more safety issues that women worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And you also, I know it's horrible to think of, but even on the water, you have to be careful as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need to be careful
Yeah.
because there may be somebody there that's just not very nice.
Yeah. And that's a sad thing.
It is.
That's a really sad thing. I was, I don't think I brought this up before. I was on a float trip one time. We were putting it in and the guy said, "Did you bring a gun?" And my buddy goes, "It's too cold for snakes." He goes, "I'm talking about meth cooks, and they're out there, and that's something you got to think about,
You
you
really
know,
do.
and it's sad that we live in
Yes,
a world you got to think about that."
it is. And at least we're adults and our kids are having to do it too. So
Yeah.
that's even worse.
Yeah. And I do not condone I know I make a lot of jokes about stuff, but I do not condone drugs of any kind or anybody underage drinking. I just want to make that perfectly clear. But I mean, it's out there and you've got to be careful. We went on a float trip on the Jack's Fork this summer, and my oldest daughter was 16 at the time, and her boyfriend was still 16, and we all had our own kayaks except for Cooper and I. Somehow Cooper and I get in the same kayak, and then he gets mad when I quit paddling because I'm in the back. I'm like, dude, I'm in the back so I don't have to paddle. But anyway, the guys were offering them beers, you know.
At
And
16?
yep. And she said, "Dad, these guys offered me beers." I said, "Well, where are they?" She goes, "Well, Dad, I didn't take them." I said, "You're grounded. Bring them to me." They offer you a beer, you take it. You just paddle up beside me and dump it in the cooler, honey. But, I mean, but that's a real thing. I mean, when a lot of folks have kids that, especially in our area, kayaking is a huge deal. And kayaking these rivers is a great way to get your kids out. But there are just, pardon my French, but dumbasses that have no clue.
I don't know how many of those kinds of folks that my husband and I have rescued, because we're at about 4 miles below where the Buffalo comes into the White River, and whenever they come off the Buffalo, a lot of times they'll circle back and go up to Buffalo City, and they'll get in trouble there because they've been drinking and they can't navigate, and you rescue them, and we've picked up all kinds of stuff, just floating by. I go, okay, there goes.
Yeah.
So you try to, you want to be good to help people out, but a lot of them are just so inebriated that they can't really help themselves.
Where before I let you go, because I know I said 10 minutes, it's been 17. Before I let you go, have you ever done the float that, what is it, 27 miles of the Buffalo that's through the national park?
No, it's 127. Yeah.
It's
Or more.
127?
Oh yeah, it's like it's that whole river's a national river.
Right, but I mean, just that part where you can't get out. That's like a 3 to 4 day float.
Oh, I have not. No.
Okay. Well,
I hope to one day, but I just I haven't. I fished the river quite a bit, but I haven't. I have not floated it there.
That is my plan for this summer, and I need to talk to you off air about when you're going to the Driftless, because I need to plan. I'm going, but I want to plan on fishing with you one day.
Okay, well, it's going to be October. I can tell you. It's,
okay. No, I mean, don't tell everybody, because everybody will come up and get in on your party. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up this summer while I'm off. I'm gonna go up there, and then I'll be down with you anyway. But I'm really the Driftless, at the way you sold it to me, and I started looking up more of it, and it's a couple hours further away from your place. I think it's 2.5 hours further away from your place, which isn't bad.
There's some Driftless in Illinois, and I've not fished it. I've fished Iowa, and I've fished Wisconsin, and I've fished Minnesota, but I've not fished Illinois.
Yeah. And I think it's because I'm only 4.5 hours from you. I think I'm almost 7 hours from the Iowa portion of the Driftless.
Oh man, I may have to worry about stalking.
You might. I might just follow you. I mean, I'm like right around you all the time. But yeah, I mean, can you tell us real quick before we get off the air just a little bit about your experience at the Driftless last year? Because you told me I had to go.
Yeah. Um, we had an awesome time. And matter of fact, we even did a video of it. It's on our Women Connect website, and we have about a 12-minute video of our trip. And it was a group of women that are members of Women Connect, and we fished for a week. And we went over to Wisconsin one day and fished with Jerry Meyer. You may know her. She owns Fly Shop up there,
Heard the
and
name.
that was the most fabulous day of fishing. She had some private waters, and oh my, that's all I'll say. Anyway, but yeah, it was very interesting. It was very different fishing. We were there in the fall, and you had to be really careful, and you lost a lot of flies. So if you're a tire, that just lets you tie more because it was really windy, but all the grasses were starting to fold over, and they were all over kind of the rivers. And, and you were going and you're trying to cast in there with all the wind and all the things, and you're going like, but if you could make a good cast and had a good swing, you could catch some fish.
Yeah. I bet that would be great. Small frog water, small topwater frog water.
I did not use any frogs. Of course, October may be getting a little bit late.
It's a little cold, but I mean, down here it's not that cold, but up there, I guess it could be.
It's a little cooler up there.
Yeah.
But it was actually hot when we were there. We were there the last of September and the 1st of October. And, I fished, I think I wet waded 2 days.
Damn. Do you like to bounce your terrestrials off the bank before you hit the water?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Do you like to, I will say that again.
Yes, please do.
Do you like to bounce your terrestrials off the bank before you put them in the water?
If I've got me a nice rock there or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you've got like a nice rock or something, do you like to bounce? Do you feel more confident when you bounce them in? Because I do.
I like to, what I do, I just kind of tick them off of the rock,
mm-hmm.
And yeah, they do bounce a little bit, but yeah, they just kind of slide off there and just land. Yes. With a little splash.
Yes. I found that to be, it's like, I almost want, and this is a sad thing. It's like, how many fly rods can you have set up? I feel like a professional bass fisherman because like, where they've got 37 rods with, different kind of lures and everything. And I'm like, ooh, I've got to change real quick because there's a rock I can bounce drop a frog on it and slide it down. And then it's like, oh no, I've got to change because there's nothing here. And I think sometimes we just get so excited about some of those things that we like to fish those flies, and it's really fun.
It is fun. And especially, when you've got a small stream and that there's something hiding underneath there, underneath that bank. Yes.
Yeah. Especially when there's like a ledge and you've got that clay bank on the side and it's fall and you take a foam grasshopper and you hit that bank and then it just sort of drops straight down like a normal grasshopper would. And they come up from underneath that undercut and just grab it.
If you are thinking about a specific spot, I want to go.
We'll go, and it's private.
I love it.
You can't. We can put in above it where the public can put in, but the public can't get out for 27 miles unless you're with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll go down to the family farm and you'll catch smallies like you wouldn't believe on grasshoppers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now that would be fun.
Yeah, we got 1,000 acres out on a really pristine river, and like I said, if I put in, I can't get out for another 22 miles. But yeah,
wow.
But yeah, it's a long stretch where there's no access, but it's a great way to float and a great way to kayak and fish. Patty, goodness gracious, this is awesome. I love talking to you.
Well, we can talk whenever we aren't doing this, but yeah,
I guess we could, but it's just so much more fun. I mean, I should have hit record as soon as you logged on because we were joking about stuff before we ever got started.
Well, that's true.
And I'm looking forward.
I finally got on because somebody gave me capital letters rather than lowercase.
Hey, you get what you pay for with this podcast.
Oh, you're right.
It's all free. We don't have a paywall for anybody. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Patty. I'm going to come down. I'll be down at your house for dinner, and we're going to go to the Sowbug Roundup, and I'm going to bring a handful of cutthroat world leaders with the cards and everything, and I'm going to give you a handful of them and have you give them out to people.
I'll do it, and we've got a Women Connect booth there.
We can give them.
We'll be tying in our booth, and we'll also be having earrings and all kinds of stuff there. You can see me there anytime, and I am teaching 2 classes, one on smallies for boundary water fishing, and the other one is going to be on Saturday morning. So we're going to have some fun.
Oh, we're going to have
March 24th through the 26th.
Such a great time
when it comes to tying.
It's going to be the best. It's going to be the highlight of my year because, I'm going to go with that jerk that outfishes me on every other trip.
Well, I am so sorry that this is the highlight of your year. This is a really good event, but we're going to have to help you out here, Sean, help you find higher highlights.
I might shave and go on Women Connect.
We'll put you in a kilt and you're ready to go.
I'll tell you what, I'll put on a tutu. My daughter's got one. I think she's got one from when she was, one of my daughters has one that she's still got around because they had tutus Tuesday or something. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I'll be like, oh, hi, my name's Sean. Oh, yeah. So
sounds good.
Sounds great. Patty, this has been awesome. We will talk to you guys next week.
Okay, fantastic.
Bye.
See ya.